What if I told you that Tony Stark didn't become Iron Man because he was a genius, but because his mind was a battlefield he never escaped? Here is the crazy part. Modern psychology suggests that the exact traits that made him a hero are the same traits that could have destroyed him. Buckle up, this one might blow your circuits. So today, we're diving into the psychology, science, and raw humanity behind Tony Stark. Not the armor. Not the fame. The mind. Because Tony isn't just a superhero, he's a case study of narcissism, trauma responses, genius-level cognition, and identity engineering. Let's open the suit and see what's inside. Here's something wild. Research shows that childhood emotional neglect can create adults who become hyper-independent, risk-taking, and obsessed with achievement. Sound familiar? Tony grew up with a distant father, impossible expectations, and zero emotional support. So he did what many high-intelligence kids do. He built achievement as a shield. His genius wasn't just a gift. It was a fortress he built to protect a lonely child. When love is conditional, success becomes the only currency you know. This leads directly to his next major trait. Tony's constant risk-taking isn't just confidence. It's a scientifically documented trauma response. When your brain learns that approval only follows extreme success, you start chasing danger like it's oxygen. That's why Tony flies into war zones, tests unproven tech on himself, and jokes in life-or-death moments. It's not fearlessness. It's numbness disguised as swagger. He's not running toward glory. He's running from the feeling of being worthless. Each near-death experience is a high-stakes gamble to prove he still has value. And yeah, sure, he uses humor like a billionaire uses Wi-Fi, constantly and to avoid uncomfortable feelings. But here is the twist. Studies show that high IQ people frequently use humor as a defense mechanism. It's a way to deflect, control the narrative, and maintain intellectual superiority in emotionally threatening situations. So Tony's jokes, they're not just style. They're psychological armor, just as crucial as his physical suit. Now let's move to the next layer of that armor, his identity. Let's get scientific for a moment. The human brain loves to use external tools, our phones, our cars, even our clothing as extensions of our identity. It's a concept known as the extended self. Tony, he took that to maximum overdrive. He didn't just build a suit. He built a self he could finally control. Because technology doesn't judge. Machines don't abandon you. Circuits don't talk back. In a world where human connection was unreliable and painful, Tony used technology for emotional regulation, creating an external self that was powerful, predictable, and invulnerable. And here's the real wait what? Moment. Neuroscience suggests that people with trauma often create complex external systems to stabilize their internal chaos. It's a way of outsourcing mental and emotional load to something they can manage. For Tony Stark? That system had a name. JARVIs. Let's go deeper into that relationship, because it's key to understanding the man inside the machine. JARVIs isn't just an assistant. He's Tony's emotional co-pilot, his most trusted confidant. Notice this. Tony talks to JARVIs more intimately and honestly than he talks to most humans. He trusts JARVIs with life-or-death decisions without a second thought. He expresses vulnerability, fear, and even affection to an AI, not to people. In psychology, this can be seen as attachment through abstraction, forming a deep emotional connection with something safe, predictable, and non-threatening. For a man terrified of abandonment, an AI that can't leave becomes the perfect controlled family. Here's a wild scientific angle to back this up. Studies on AI companionship and social robotics show that humans bond deeply with AI when three conditions are met. 1. Real human relationships feel risky or have failed in the past. 2. Having control over the interaction provides a sense of safety. And 3. The emotional predictability of the AI becomes addictive. Tony Stark checks all three boxes with flashing neon lights. He didn't just create artificial intelligence. He created a psychological safe zone, a synthetic soulmate engineered to fill the void left by humans. Now, let's talk about that big flashy word everyone loves to throw around, narcissism. It's the most misunderstood word of the century. Tony absolutely acts narcissistic. He's showy, loud, brilliant, with that unforgettable I am Iron Man energy. But is he a true narcissist? Underneath it all, psychology offers a more nuanced diagnosis: compensatory narcissism. This is when a massive personality is built on the outside to compensate for deep, profound insecurity on the inside. The bigger the swagger, the deeper the wound. So the suit isn't just armor. It's a coping mechanism, a golden shell to hide the fragile person within. But here's the truly mind-blowing part. Tony Stark isn't impressive despite his flaws. He's impressive because of how he weaponized them. This is where the science of his genius gets absolutely crazy. Genius brains don't just think faster, they think deeper and wider, connecting seemingly unrelated concepts. Tony consistently displays all the hallmarks: hyperfocus under pressure, rapid pattern recognition, creative problem-solving that defies convention, and high-concept engineering leaps that feel like magic. This aligns perfectly with modern studies on divergent thinkers, people whose brains are wired to generate solutions by breaking rules, not following them. Tony doesn't just solve a problem. He obliterates the old framework and creates an entirely new one. And here's a fun fact: high IQ individuals statistically procrastinate on mundane tasks, but they achieve a state of intense flow when working on something they deem world-changing or personally meaningful. Tony building a fusion reactor in a cave from a box of scraps? That is classic genius on a deadline behavior. Science absolutely approves. World governments and established physicists, maybe not so much. But now, are you ready for the big punch? The emotional core of his entire journey. Tony becomes a hero not for glory, not for fame, but as a form of self-punishment and correction for the chaos he believes he caused. His weapons created suffering, and his entire superhero career is an attempt to balance the scales. Psychology calls this redemptive identity formation, the powerful drive to fix your past by obsessively reshaping your future. He doesn't save the world because he's Iron Man. He saves the world because for so long, he was the merchant of death and he can't escape that. He saves others because he feels he wasn't saved himself. So here it is, the moment where everything connects. Tony Stark isn't a god, an alien, or a super soldier. He's a deeply flawed human being who took his trauma, his intelligence, his flaws, his pain, his humor, his tech, his fear, and his profound loneliness, and he forged it all into meaning. He hammered his broken pieces into a suit of armor, both literally and figuratively. The real power isn't his arc reactor. It's his self-awareness, the relentless, painful courage to look in the mirror, see the broken parts, and build something better from them. That's what makes Tony Stark so terrifyingly real and eternally resonant. Modern psychology proves one thing above all else: your wounds can shape you, but they do not have to define you. Tony Stark is the ultimate proof that identity isn't something you discover. It's something you engineer. Sometimes you have to do it with a box of scraps in a cave. So in one sentence, Tony Stark represents the perfect, volatile intersection of trauma, genius, technology, and the universal human need to matter. What's your take on the mind of Tony Stark? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more deep dives into the science of your favorite characters, don't forget to subscribe to CNEX. Thanks for watching.